1, 2, 3. Okay. Who's throwing that? Alrighty. I mean, you're really messing up everything over here. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Satisfactory video. I do know it's been a while since the last time I have recorded, but I did realize that I didn't actually finish the last series that we started. Now, in the last video, we went over this nuclear power plant, and we showed you the entire facility and what the purpose of the building was. And that purpose was to produce no nuclear waste. And so what we would end up doing is taking all the nuclear waste that the reactors would produce and then converting it into the nuclear pellets. Now, the problem with the nuclear pellets is that you cannot just send those into a awesome sink and then to recycle those. You actually have to convert them into plutonium fuel rods. So in here, we are making the plutonium pellets, and then we're going to take those plutonium pellets and into the next building, which is the main focus of the entire video. Excuse me, sir. So we're going to come out here, and then into this building is the entire focus of this video. So this building here is the recycling facility, and this sign says beyond this point, you do acknowledge that you may be exposed to radiation, and that is just because we do have a lot of radiation coming into this entire facility, and so that's something that we do have to be aware of. So follow this guy into the main entrance. So the first thing you see is the radiation symbol on the ground. We will go down there. That is kind of more of like where all the conveyor stuff and all the conveyor belts are. But the first thing that you do notice when you walk in is the awesome sink. I wanted the awesome sink to kind of be front and center and shown with this all of the glass, because that's kind of like what the whole purpose of this entire build is that we can recycle the uranium fuel cells. So we're going to start where we actually come in with all the other materials. So in here we have more smelters that we are going to be converting into different things. We also have a foundry. So in here we're making steel ingots at 21.6 per minute. Then we have more of just the regular smelters, which we are producing copper at 18 a minute. This one is producing 5 per minute, so not too much. And then the last one is actually producing our aluminum ingots. Now with aluminum ingots, it's not just an ore that you need to bring in. You actually need to convert that using refineries, excuse me, sir, into the next room. What we're actually producing is constructors. And then in these constructors, we're producing concrete in the first 2 of them. So you can see here, constructor. But then here, we're actually taking some of those iron ingots, or copper ingots, excuse me, and the iron ingots technically, into these constructors. One producing steel beams at 5.4 per minute. This one is producing 9 per minute. And then what we're going to do is then take those from the constructors and then sort those into the downstairs area, which again, we will get to. And so one thing you will notice with this entire build is the walls are pretty thick. So if I actually get rid of this, what you can see is that every wall in between, and the reason why it has this thickness is just so we can actually get conveyor in and out if we do need to, and it kind of hides it. So then into the next room is now we're at the back of the awesome sink. So in here, we actually have 95 coupons that we can use, and the reason why we have so many is because we actually do get quite a few tickets from plutonium fuel rods is what we're converting. This one actually is just about to be done. Maybe. It does take quite a long time for it to make these. And then it will then just come from over here into the said awesome sink, where it will then just give us more coupons. And then we also have a awesome shop right here, so we can actually spend those coupons that we do gain. And then right here, we can actually control the entire power from the building, but then also the lighting in the entire building, because I wanted everything to kind of feel nice and organized. And then into the next room. So again, we have the manufacturer over here producing those plutonium fuel rods. But then in here, we have some more assemblers. Now these assemblers, we have this catwalk here so we can access these. This one is producing heat sinks, which is just one of the materials that we will need in the manufacture. And then in the next one, we're making the outclad aluminum sheets, which will then go from this assembler into this one so we can produce those heat sinks. And then down here, we're producing the encased plutonium cells. So here's actually where we're taking those plutonium pellets and then converting them into these plutonium cells. So that you can actually see that we're running at 94% efficiency, so not as high as we should be. I'm not sure why. I think it's because I did kind of clear out some of the concrete, so maybe that is why. But over here you can see just all the materials coming in from even from those earlier rooms that we did see, and then they'll be coming up in here and then into their respective assemblers. And then let's go over to the other side. Now here is kind of where I mentioned that we had to produce that aluminum scrap. So here's actually where we're taking some materials from some of the other buildings that we're producing. Like this one is the alumina solution. So here what we actually need is water and bauxite, or bauxite, however you pronounce it. And then we're actually taking that water from one of the pumps over in the main building. And then this refinery is actually taking the alumina solution and coal, and then is going to be producing our aluminum scrap. Now the cool thing about this, you do see that this does produce water as scrap, And so what we're actually doing is feeding the water that this is actually getting rid of and feeding it back into this one. So we don't ever have to really worry about having as much water. And so it's just a really nice, simple thing that we're doing there. And then right here, we just kind of have these big pumps in case we need to just have some more excess in water. You know, anything that overflows, it just kind of gives us that little bit of a buffer. And then let's go into the downstairs area. Now, the downstairs area is kind of like what I said earlier. That's where everything is going to be kind of sorted into everything else. And then coming down, we come down here, and now you can see just how much conveyor we have down here. And then the whole point was just taking that conveyor and then hiding it from upstairs. I didn't want any conveyor to really be shown unless it really had to be. So down here is where we're making the aluminum scrap. Don't know why. Always open. Oh, there we go. So here you can see we're running at 100% efficiency. Where'd you just shoot me from? You're going to the balcony? That's impressive. And so here, just the big refineries producing the alumina solution with the excess water, 100 backsite. I don't really care about that being overflowed because it doesn't really hurt us, really. It's like the only node coming to it. And then with this one, we have coal and then the alumina solution. So again, producing the exact amount that we really need. And then that will just be taken into another building. So you can see the aluminum scrap here. Will then go all the way over to a smelter. I forget what it's going to, but that's where it's going. So we have these catwalks here, so we don't really have to jump over the conveyor. Again, I like to kind of be organized and think of stuff like this. And then here's actually where you can see why we have like some pretty thick walls. And we have those thick walls, so we can actually have these conveyors coming up in between those thick walls. And then again, it hides the conveyor. I don't like that this is floating. Why is this floating? Interesting. Hey, look at that. But I wanted everything to be super organized. I wanted enough room so we could, you know, put our mergers, our, you know, splitters, anything like that can all be down here, and it sorts everything. And then you can see all these excess materials are then going to be going into the main room for the manufacturer. Now this one here, I believe, is the one that takes the plutonium fuel rods, and then it will take them down all the way around. You can see this one here. See if we can follow it. It will go down, turn the corner, goes through the wall. Didn't really realize that might actually get rid of that. I don't like stuff clipping through other things. And then what it's going to do is then go up into our awesome sink. And then just over here, we have a lot more conveyor. You can see just all the conveyor that we have coming in. All of the raw materials are coming in down here, then going up into their smelters or into their, you know, their foundry. Whatever it needs to go into is where the raw materials are going up into. Again, just kind of keeping everything nice and organized is the idea here. And that's pretty much it for the downstairs. Here you can see that we have the limestone coming in, so we can make our concrete. We have more piping down here as well, so like the water and everything like that can also be nicely organized. I didn't really show you around the exterior too much. Let's get to that. So here you just have pipe coming up above, going into the main reactor building. I kind of liked keeping the modern kind of look because we kind of used that over on that building over there. So I wanted to kind of replicate that over here as well. You know, that way it just kind of fit the same theme as everything else. Here's where we're seeing those raw materials coming in. We're using the big frame pillars to kind of have the kind of like look of the supporting conveyor. And then it's going to go down, so I like how it looks. Keeps it nice and organized, but also kind of industrial as well. So again, that wrapped window and modern look comes all the way around to the other side. We have the big boy here on our ramp, just nice and right in our way. This is the second entrance for this building. Right here you can see that where am I? Right here you can see that we have the manufacturer in its own little room with glass up above. And then, oh, we have another one of these guys. Awesome. We have our refineries on this side, and here's actually where we're bringing in the coal and then also the bauxite as well. And yeah, I'm actually really happy with how this recycling facility has turned out. It now means that the entire reactor building produces no nuclear waste, because then we just take all of that material and then sort it into this building, and then it sorts it, and then we also get coupons because of it. So by the end, here's what everything looks like. Here's how much space it takes up to produce no nuclear waste. It is so much, and this is just for 6 nuclear reactors. Imagine if we had more like some people do in their builds. So it's a big process, and you know what, it's all worth it. I love how all this stuff has turned out. It turned out so good, but now I got to figure out what is the next thing I'm going to work on, because yeah, now I want to keep playing Satisfactory again. If you guys do want to download this world, it should be on my Patreon. it will be the same build as the nuclear build. So if you do want to go download that, you can using the Patreon link in the description. Also like how it kind of makes everything wet on the floor. That's a nice little detail. So good job, Coffee Stain Studios. But yeah, that is it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Let me know what you guys thought of this build in the comments. And yeah, let me know what you guys want to see next, because I haven't played Satisfactory in a while. But if I'm going to come back to it, I want to know what you guys want to see. So I will see you guys for the next video. Bye-bye.